What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It is CTO, and it is about that time. If you don't know what time I'm talking about, it's about that time for us to get a new patch in ZZZ, the 1.1 patch, and with that time comes 2 new characters that are being drip marketed to us before the patch is actually live. Those 2 characters being Burnice White and Caesar King. Now, these 2 characters are part of the Sons of Calydon faction, the same as Lucy and Piper. They seem to be extremely interesting just based off their kit design. I want to kind of just go over what their designs kind of scream to me and how I think they potentially could play in the game. And I say potentially because, again, we haven't seen anything from these characters besides the official marketing that we got from Hoyoverse. So this is all just base speculation based on like other games that I've played and other kits I've seen in other games, assuming that they are going to be kind of overlapping playstyles. They did say that they're going to take some inspiration from Capcom games. So just based off of that, and I also see Capcom kind of taking some inspiration from Hoyo. Unless like that Charge Blade move in Monster Hunter Wild was always part of Charge Blade, that don't look a little too similar to my bad. So yeah, basically I just want to have a discussion with you all and just see if you guys are kind of agreeing with me or if it's something that you guys are seeing differently when you look at their designs. And just based off of the information that we've gotten so far, let's just knock this out of the way. Boom, let's just check this off really quick. They're definitely going to work very well together. If you have them on the same team, I wouldn't imagine that Hoyoverse would make them 2 polar opposites and they don't work well on the same team. They're part of the same faction, and just based on their designs, it looks like they kind of support each other on the battlefield lore-wise. We'll see when they actually get released, but it looks like they kind of support each other on the battlefield lore-wise. Now, if you look at their 2 designs, the reason why I say that they potentially could support each other is very obvious, but in case you didn't, one's range, one's melee. It just makes sense. You know what I'm saying? You're on a battlefield, you got 1 range, you got 1 melee. They just support each other. That's just how battles is supposed to work. Let me know if I'm wrong. And when I'm looking at Burnice's kit, she kind of screams to me that she's going to be doing a lot of anomaly damage. I mean like a lot of burn damage. But I feel like her main kind of thing is that while she's shooting her flamethrowers, she might not be actually staggering an enemy. For example, like let's say like the smaller enemies, when you hit an enemy with ambi, they get knocked back. They take some type of knockback or some type of animation when you hit them. I don't think that Burnice will actually excel at doing that very well, just because a flamethrower, in most games, a flamethrower doesn't necessarily stagger you. Like it doesn't necessarily like put you in a hit stun, but it does do a lot of damage and it does rack up burn extremely fast. Like for example, in Dark Souls, when you shoot an enemy with a flamethrower or a flame breath from a dragon, you're not going to get necessarily, I mean, unless it's the boss. If the boss shoots flame at you, you're definitely getting staggered. But if you shoot flame at the boss, you're probably not going to stagger the boss, and you're probably not going to stagger most small enemies. You'll just do a lot of damage to them and then burn them. So I think that's kind of the same way that Burnice will kind of work, where she probably won't be doing a whole bunch of staggering unless you're like physically hitting the enemy, or unless like maybe you're really close to the enemy, or unless she has like bombs or something like that, or some type of move where she directly is hitting the enemy or directly is supposed to stagger. I don't necessarily think that her basics will stagger. Like I genuinely do think that Burnice will just be a character that plays very, very ranged. Well, not very, very ranged, more like mid-range. And she does very, very good burn damage, very, very good fire damage. I wouldn't be surprised if all of her attacks do fire damage. Like she's just always shooting the flamethrowers and always moving around on the field and stuff like that. I don't think that she'll be as mobile as Zhu Yuan, but I do think that she'll definitely be able to reposition. There's a character in Honkai Impact, right? Honkai Impact 3rd, and I'll try to either link it in the description, or if I can get some gameplay of her, I'll put it in the background. There's a character in Honkai Impact 3rd where she summons 2 turrets, and basically her whole game plan is she just jumps from turret to turret, turret to turret, turret to turret, and then her ultimate is she turns into this one big like mobile like fortress, and she just guns everyone down. And the whole game plan of her is just stay at mid-range and jump from both her turrets. And if she has an AoE, she goes to the AoE turret. If she needs to do DPS, she goes to the DPS single target turret. And that's like her whole game plan. I'll try to, again, put some gameplay up so you guys can see, or I'll put it in the description. That's where I'm going. That's where my mind is going when I see her kit. I'm thinking that she's going to be a mid-range demon. She's going to be out here dropping crazy fire damage. She's going to be out here dropping a whole bunch of anomaly, and she'll be a huge burst DPS that'll be very, very crazy with the fire team and be very, very crazy with the Sons of Calydon team. as the Sons of Calydon team currently at the moment seems to be a very anomaly based team. They seem to be very focused and set on anomalies. They don't even have a set DPS. Like, they don't have an attacker for the Sons of Calydon team, unless Lighter is going to be an attacker. But the Sons of Calydon faction doesn't have an attacker. They seem very, very anomaly based. And just based off of that, I do think that she'll be more of like a burst anomaly character. Now, that's it for my thoughts on Burnice. I definitely want to see more of her kit to see what she does in game. I know we'll get a little bit more of that once we get closer to 1.2, so I'm definitely excited to see that. Do you guys agree with what my takes are on Burnice, or do you think that I'm a little off? Let me know in the comments, and let me know what your takes are on Burnice based on her design. How do you think she'll play in the game? I would love to know. Now, as for Caesar King, the other character that was drip marketed, I definitely wanted to see more on her animations, because she does use a sword and shield, which is generally a more traditional or generic set of weapons to use. Usually like sword and shield users or jack of all trades. Like, for example, if you look at the sword and shield in any other game, let's say for example Monster Hunter or example Dragon's Dogma, the sword and shield is more of a, again, jack of all trades weapon, where it doesn't do one thing extremely well, not really a specialist in attack or defense or mobility or anything like that, but it does have a culmination of all of those things, and it does them at a relatively decent level that in the right hands can very much outshine someone that's not doing the best on other weapons. I think Caesar could take that same kind of role, whereas she'd just be a very, very good unit in general, and should just be good with a lot of teams. And as long as you have her and you have her well invested, she'll just be a really, really good unit that you can kind of slap on a lot of teams. Well, I want to see more on her kit to see if I'm right on that, to be honest, because that's the kind of vibe that she gives me based on her design, is that she'll just be a jack of all trades, and she'll be someone that you can just slot on any team, and she'll just be very good. Of course, she'll be very good with Burnice, as like that's the pairing faction wise, but I think that she'll be a very, very good unit in general, just based off of her design. She looks like a more trustworthy and stalwart, you know what I mean, type of character that you can just kind of slot everywhere. That's the type of vibe that I get from her. Now, if we see some more of her animations, right, and we see that she has some type of transformation with the weapon, maybe if the shield turns into like a saw shield where she can like use it to saw through enemies or something like that, or if the sword combines with the shield in some type of way, maybe it's something similar to a charge blade again, or they did it with Seth. They could definitely do it again with Caesar. Although that possibility is extremely low, I definitely want to see if they will do some type of transformation with her, or if she'll just be a normal sword and shield character with maybe some guard frames. That would actually be very interesting. I would want to see something like that, where if she does just use a normal sword and shield, her basic attack chain has perfect guard frames, where let's say like basic attack 3, if you time that while getting hit, she'll do a counter, and then she can do a counter hit, something like that. Or on like her regular skill, something like similar to Ben, that she can do counters in her skill and stuff like that. I would want to see something similar to guard frames though. I think guard frames would be extremely cool for a character like Caesar. I think that would be something that a lot of people would enjoy, or maybe just me. Maybe only I would enjoy that. But it'd be very fun though. It made me want to pull for Caesar if she had some guard frames. I'm not gonna lie, because that would be kind of dope. It would be something similar to maybe Monster Hunter with the sword and shield guard frames. Hey, I mean, they did have the whole Capcom collab with Street Fighter. That's why I keep doing the whole comparison between the two, especially after I seen what they did. I'm not even gonna go into it again, because then I'm just gonna go off on a tangent and I'm gonna have to cut it out. But overall, those are my thoughts on how Burnice and Caesar could potentially play, or like how I maybe would want to see them play in ZZZ. I think overall those two would be very, very interesting when they start to get released more information on them. We start to see more on their kits and stuff like that. I do think that they will be very different, especially since they're two characters that we have not seen in the game before. We don't have an S rank defense character, and we don't have a fire anomaly character at all in the game. So she's going to be an S rank fire anomaly. I'm talking about Burnice here, and she's going to be one of the only fire rank anomalies we'll have in the game. So if you do have a fire based team, and let's say for example you're not liking Ben, you're not liking Lucy, maybe she could even replace Lucy, for example, because Lucy, she is a character that mainly only does the attack buff, along with the boars kind of taking, you know what I'm saying, her crit rate and crit damage when you have like a faction or same element in the team. Now, if you have Lucy C6, that might be a little harder to replace, but for me, I only have Lucy C0, so getting Burnice and maybe replacing someone like Lucy with Burnice, that could potentially see some big increase in my fire team if I was to pull someone like Burnice. Now, as for Caesar, if she does end up being that jack of all trades character that's very, very good in every team, if she works better with crit-based teams, I think that should just be an upgrade or a very, very good character to build a team around in general for crit-based teams, and the same for Anomaly as well. I do think that she may work a little more sided towards the Anomaly side if they build her more to be in line with her faction, just because again the Sons of Calydon faction doesn't have an attacker unless Lighter is going to be their attacker. If Lighter is going to be their attacker, then that doesn't really matter, I guess, but it just is kind of a little bit on the outer side when you look at other factions. Like for example, the Cunning Hares has 2 attackers, Victoria Housekeeping, they have 2 attackers, Section 6 is shaping maybe to have 2 attackers maybe, and Sons of Calydon just maybe only will have 1 attacker. I'm more just saying I could see them being more of an Anomaly based faction just based off of the fact that they already have 2 Anomaly characters inside of their faction. Now that's about it when it comes to my speculation for them when it comes to their design. I didn't want to go too much into speculating their kits and stuff like that. I wanted to more speculate potentially their play style and roles, because that's more what you can kind of deduce, at least in my opinion, when it comes to looking at a character design, is like how they potentially could play just based on how they look. Now I'm not too sure if I'm actually going to pull for either one of these characters. It depends more on how they'll play. If I do pull for any one of them, it may be Caesar, and I may just make a team around Caesar just because she'll be the first S-rank defense character. And because she's going to be the first S-rank defense character, I think she may have something that a lot of characters in the game won't have at all. I think she may bring something new to the game completely, just because she'll be the first of her kind. Thank y'all for watching, as always. If you did enjoy the video, definitely let me know in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on the new characters as well. Would you guys be pulling for any one of them just based off of their design without seeing their kits or anything like that? Or you guys just want to wait until you see more information before you decide on whether or not you're going to pull them? Thanks for watching, y'all. If y'all are new here, drop a sub on the channel or a like on the video. It would definitely help me out. We are on the road to 2K. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.